Before we move on, I just wanted to mention one thing, which is just and it could be an end of the podcast note, in the sense that it's just it was a moment that happened in the match, but it wasn't illustrative of it at all. It was just one moment when the Springboks were attacking the Welsh line and they had a strong scrum, and they drove through the Welsh pack, and then the ball bobbled out the back of the Springbok scrum. This was on the Welsh 5 metre line, and they were gunning for a try. And then the Welsh players got up on them, tackled Papier, I think it was.
Messy ball created from a dominant scrum.
And ended up being a turnover. And I just remember thinking, like, look, part of it is the skill of the number 8, hold the ball at the base. That matters tremendously.
It does.
But referees, I love the referees who let the game go, generally speaking. But there's something to be said for penalising infringements at the scrum and just rewarding teams who are dominating the scrum. It was a very clean scrum that ended up in a Welsh infringement to tight head. And the ref decided, because the ball came out of the scrum and the scrum was still moving cleanly, the ref decided, even though very clearly the penalty was infringed before the ball had left the scrum, he was just like, there's the ball. Sure, will we not just play it rugby?
Yeah, which if you're a diehard prop, you're gonna feel a bit terrible about that, really. Like all the work that's done, and then it's like, you turn around and it's a turnover.
Like, the scrumming can piss people off, and I get that. But the worst part of scrumming is when refs are getting so pernickety that they're trying to coach the players and they're taking ages about setting a scrum and they can't get it square, and props are playing fiddly sticks and the scrum goes down and everything like that, which again with good officiating can just be, no, you've technically infringed there, I'm not going to give you a coaching lesson, I'm going to penalise you. That's fine. But the thing that I hate is when a team gets you on the scrum. It's a big part of the game. It's a big element of it. And if a team has you in the scrum at a big moment and beats you and you infringe, that's a penalty. That you should get that reward. And too often, especially when the ball comes back and it's clean ball, like I've seen refs in recent years, it's creeping in. It's the Nigel Owens factor, which is a great thing for rugby. That the game is flowy and it's produced refs. It's like Angus Gardner and Maitreya and people who let things go. But like, when you see a referee, when a scrum is trotting forward and the ball's at the base, go, use it. You go, what are you talking about? No, no interest in using it. I want my penalty. We're dominating their scrum. Rugby is happening here in the scrum.
Indeed, and it's so often overlooked. By, like, it's the same kind of line of thinking that would ultimately lead towards more rugby league than anything else. You'll have uncontested kind of set pieces and things. I don't want that. It's not necessarily about trying to make a rugby league. It's trying to get the game flowing, and I get that, and you just, from a spectator point of view, time when the ball is dead can be seen as a negative thing. The scrum's not the sexy thing that's going to bring in the fan who hasn't seen rugby before, isn't going to be as enamoured with the scrum as he is with the coast to coast Fijian offloading try. Obviously that's more spectacular, but the game isn't just that. No, the game's more complicated than that, and tight head props have a role to play in all that. It's a very important one, and it leads to like a body type that's so unique. When you think of what all the things that go into being a tight head prop, or a loose head for that matter as well, but someone who's in the front row scrummaging, it's very akin to like things like wrestling, Greco wrestling and stuff. That some of the manipulation going on, we're muggles, we don't know, because we can't claim to speak on authority.
Visual understanding.
But it's only through watching. But there's a lot going on, and ask like Mike Ross is someone who we've listened to interviewed. He gets very technical. He's a super nerd about the stuff. So like someone like him watching that, I'm sure it boils his blood, because you're just like, it's a huge part of the game and it needs to be not ignored. And it's something that, as far as consistency with refs, it's an issue as well, because French refs and the top coutures in general, if you're watching a top coutures game, that is not overlooked at all.
No,
the scrum
that's true.
is scrutinised, and it's left in for probably a little longer than at international level for sure, but it's a big part of the game, and it's like
one of the advantages of the game in general. One of the big, like, you once said that one of your mates who is not a sport guy rather at all, liked rugby because he said it was illustrative of war. It was like two sides fighting.
It was kind of interesting, but he's like, I like rugby though. It's the most kind of illustrative of war. Which was a good one.
Whatever about what that says.
I don't know
what's going on in the dude's head, but I liked it. I love it in the sense that it's illustrative of the amount of versatility and the amount of different ways to win a rugby game, different ways to dominate a game, different looks that you can have, not just in players around the field, but in teams, and different identities that they can take. And the scrum is a huge part of that. I would really enjoy it next year if Fiji tear loose and hammer Georgia and maybe put it up to Australia, maybe make a quarterfinal. But I would also love it if the Georgians could stymie the Fijians, get them to stop working.
You get to see a first half that's really slow and physical, and
just maul them at the scrums and rod them. And that's where, like, Australian fans in particular, where the sport is constantly in competition. You know, it's not just a sense of we are rugby fans, let's, you know, discuss how to make a good rugby team. Like, rugby is competing for eyeballs. So they're constantly trialing this new stuff of basically just trying to turn all rugby into super rugby. It's like, no, we 6 points for a try, 7 points for a try, 20 points for a try, and -2 for a kick. And oh, you kicked it, docking points. And like, it would make a fun, entertaining brand. It's like that competition that they're doing over there. I only managed to catch a couple of games, that Fiji and Drua won, which was great. That competition was a lot of fun to watch, but it's only one style of, it's only one aspect of the complex game of rugby, and I think the refs are basically doing a good job of getting the game to flow these days. But that criticism is just one that I would lean on. It's just like, you have to, without harboring on them, without letting it kill the game, you have to pay attention to what's going on in a scrum, and understanding that a winning scrum can be a big moment for a team and should be rewarded. And it's like, certainly Irish crowds are no mugs on that front. Like, if we win a big scrum, even on our own line, that gets very often more of a cheer than a try, because it's as big a moment. It's a huge thing. You're making a play.
Making a play, which is what it's all about. But even like some of these kind of new interpretations, like, they are doing a good job of letting it flow. I wish they'd realised that. Some of the talk about, like, bringing tackle heights down below a nipple line as well, so then eventually what'll come with that is, like, just crazy offloads everywhere. You have to be able to stuff the offload too. It doesn't need to be just all tries, back and forth basketball scores.
And it's all the nipple line one is weird because it's about stopping concussion. Well, I've never heard of a guy get concussion from being hit here.
It's rare enough, I think. I think it can actually happen. You can get, like, whiplash from a shot even down there. It gives your head jerks.
Hang on, let's cancel shots.
Like, I suppose tip rugby then for World Cup 20.
Hang on. I heard about a guy who got tipped in a tip rugby game and he got a concussion.
So but then he managed to sue successfully for some money. So no,
that means we have to make it illegal.
No one's advocating this, and I think the last World Cup came at a timely moment to remind teams that, like, attack is the best form of defense, and that was kind of my big take on the last World Cup, was going like, sure, for all your defensive cleverness, Northern Hemisphere teams more often than not, it's like these teams are just going to score tries in the first half. And what happens when they score tries in the first half? You haven't been allowing for this. The first half is made of 3-pointers, then 3 alls, then 6 threes, then 6 alls, then 9 threes, then half time. No, but what if you're 2 tries down? So, like, that's already become an emphasis, and they are letting the game flow, getting better en masse at communicating rather than just waiting to blow the whistle, which was the huge problem in that. That's what annoys fans at the most when you're watching the game. Is just like the guy's obviously illegal. There's no sense of hands off, let go now, release, which is what people like Nigel Owens are the best at. That's the thing that he does better than everyone. And more refs are coming in with that in mind, and that does have the effect of letting the game flow, and by, like, just keeping the whistle, not being whistle happy, and not pinging on everything, giving players a chance to get out if they're listening to you. That's all very important, very well. You don't need to go overboard changing too much, because before you know it, like, it'll just get a bit silly, and then you'll have to rework some of these things.
The thing that they're mad on it is the tackle law, but we have our criticisms. They're always, respectful and everything else, and always in the broader context of right now, World Rugby and rugby referees are producing a great quality of game. But a couple of issues. We spoke the other week about the side entries, and this week
that's still an ongoing issue.
It is still
unresolved.
An ongoing issue. This week just mention those scrums, and you'll notice it now once we've said it. If you're watching it, you'll notice the next time that a scrum is absolutely dominant and the ball's at the back, and some refs more than others just go, use it, I see it, there it is, I want to see some spinny play.
Some number 8s are better than that than others. Shout out to Jamie Heaslip, who's formed, I think he was one of the best I've ever seen
at controlling the ball at
the little bit of footwork to control the ball at the base. It's something I know CJ is often guilty of not doing it. Jack Conan's guilty of not doing it as well.
I think it was Kieran Reid who pioneered the trapping the ball between the legs and hopping along in the scrum.
I remember that. I can't remember which game it was, but I do remember seeing him do that. I love that. Like you do need to have challenge the number 8 to play a bit of ball as well, which is
the only thing is, if you're doing that, you're definitely not pushing in the scrum.
No.
But
well, a lot
it,
of number 8s view that as optional.
Yes.
It depends on who you ask about all that. But yeah, no, you're right in saying ultimately there should, like, dominant scrums are a part of the game and should be rewarded. That's something that the French have in spades that we need to implement across the rest of rugby too, and not let it go completely silly.
Yeah.